President Donald Trump is being urged to take more executive power over elections. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Friday, February 27th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Our first story today is a Post exclusive. Pro-Trump activists who say they are in coordination with the White House are circulating a 17-page draft executive order. It claims that China interfered in the 2020 election and uses that as a basis to declare a national emergency that would unlock extraordinary presidential power over voting. Peter Tickton is a Florida lawyer who is advocating for the executive order and went to school with Trump. Tickton argues that declaring a national emergency would empower the president to ban mail ballots and voting machines that he claims are vulnerable to foreign interference. Trump has been pressuring Republicans in Congress to pass legislation to require proof of citizenship for voter registration and ID to cast ballots. That measure, called the Save America Act, passed in the House but faces obstacles in the Senate. Trump has said that if the bill fails, he will act unilaterally to impose the changes for the midterms. What that executive order could look like and the draft circulating among activists have not been previously reported. Number 2. A partially blind refugee left in a parking lot by Border Patrol was found dead. Last week, Border Patrol agents released Nurul Amin Shah Alam in the parking lot of a closed coffee shop in Buffalo. The Post obtained security footage of a white van dropping off a man that night wearing clothes that matched the ones Shah Alam was wearing when he was arrested. The 56-year-old then disappeared, and relatives spent days searching for him. He spoke little English and was partially blind. 5 days later, he was found dead near an arena in downtown Buffalo, about 5 miles from where he had been dropped off. Shah Alam was a member of Myanmar's persecuted Rohingya minority. He arrived in the U.S. in 2024. Immigration agents released him after finding he was not deportable. A spokesperson for Border Patrol said Shah Alam did not show signs he needed special assistance. Democrats and advocacy groups demanded an investigation into his treatment. Number 3 is another Post exclusive. Vice President J.D. Vance said there is no chance of a drawn-out war with Iran. In an interview with the Post on board Air Force Two yesterday, Vance said the U.S. would not get involved in a years-long war in the Middle East. That's even though President Trump is currently weighing up potential military strikes on Iran. Vance said he remains a skeptic of foreign military interventions and pointed to operations in Iran last year and Venezuela in January as examples of swift military interventions. But he said he does not know what Trump will decide to do about Iran this time, and whether there will be strikes or a diplomatic solution. A round of talks between U.S. and Iranian officials over Iran's nuclear program ended yesterday. A mediator said significant progress had been made and that talks would continue next week. Number 4. Hillary Clinton derided her Epstein deposition as political theater. Yesterday, the former Secretary of State appeared in front of the House Oversight Committee for hours of closed-door testimony in New York. She told the Republican-led panel that she didn't know Jeffrey Epstein and that she never went to his island, his homes, or his offices. And she sharply questioned why she had been deposed as part of investigations into the convicted sex offender. In a news conference after her deposition, she was asked if she would testify again publicly, as the Clintons had originally requested.
Oh, I'm not going to do it again. They had a chance to do it in public, and I wish they had done it in public. And I think they're making the wrong decision, avoiding doing it in public. I thought it was very repetitive. I thought that They asked literally the same questions over and over again, which didn't seem to me to be very productive. And then, as I said, toward the end, there were other questions that were totally off subject.
Those other topics included questions about UFOs and the Pizzagate conspiracy theory. The former First Lady did acknowledge in testimony that she had known Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, quote, casually as an acquaintance. Still, she said she had no relevant information to share. Today, her husband, former President Bill Clinton, is expected to answer questions. Number 5 is another post-exclusive. The Pentagon's showdown with AI firm Anthropic has escalated. The Pentagon wants Anthropic to allow it to use its tech for autonomous weapons and mass surveillance. It has given the company until 5:01 p.m. today to grant that permission. If they don't, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has threatened to use government powers to force them to. Late yesterday, Anthropic said it would not concede to that ultimatum. Tensions have been rising between the Defense Department and the tech company, and sources told the Post about one key sticking point. According to a defense official, the Pentagon's technology chief wanted Anthropic to answer a hypothetical question. Could the military use Anthropic's Claude AI system to help shoot down an intercontinental ballistic missile launched into the U.S.? The Pentagon and Anthropic have starkly different accounts of how the company answered. According to a defense official, Anthropic's CEO basically said that in that scenario, the government could call them to find out. That rankled the Pentagon. An Anthropic spokesperson, on the other hand, denied that account. They said the firm has agreed to allow its AI system to be used for missile defense. You can check how your area stacked up this winter as the U.S. experienced record snowfall. That's number 6. About 123 million people got above average snowfall during this winter season. That's the highest number in 5 years, and the second highest number in 12 years. It has coincided with the deepest winter cold in more than 2 decades for swaths of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. But, of course, different parts of the U.S. have been affected in different ways. Vermont had the highest average snowfall of any state, with 89 inches. In parts of the West, though, it's been a very different story with a record-shattering snow drought. In our newsletter today, you can follow a link to find out how your area has fared and whether it's received more or less snowfall than average this winter. And at number 7, ancient DNA reveals that Neanderthal males and human females had babies together. Since 2010, scientists have known that Neanderthals and our ancestors had offspring together. Those hybrid babies pass down their genes to many present-day people, like my husband. But a new study of ancient DNA reveals more about how the two closely related human species behaved when they interacted. They found that cross-species prehistoric pairings tended to follow a distinct pattern, with Neanderthal dads and Homo sapiens moms. The lack of Neanderthal DNA on the X chromosomes of modern humans implies a strong sex bias in mating over thousands of years. There are a few possible reasons why Neanderthal men and Homo sapiens women used to get it on. Some are more pleasant than others. But whatever the reason may be, the study reveals intriguing clues about the social dynamics of our ancient ancestors. That's the show for this week. The staff writers of The Seven are Jamie Ross, Izan Akabau, and me. Special thanks to Ted Muldoon and Rena Flores for joining us on the early producing shift this week. John Taylor is our editor. Copy editing by Leo Sands, Rebecca Branford, and Kendra Nichols. Mixing and sound design is by Jim Briggs and Justin Garish. Our theme music is by Edith Mudge. I'm Hannah Jewell. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend. I'll meet you back here on Monday.